In this video, we will Be'ez Hashem explain how to use the Likkutei Sichos checklist. So let's start with getting our own personal copy. Before we copy the file, we have to make sure that this is a file which has not been used yet and is the original one. To find a link to the original file, you can go to Instructions tab down here. Click the Instruction tab. Here's a link to the original file. Let's click it. So this is the original file. It's not used yet. We'll get to this later, but as you can see, this is at 0 and nothing has been checked off yet. So this is the file that we want to copy. We go up to the top menu over here, we press File, press Make a Copy. You can name it whatever you want. Let's take away the words copy of. If you want to save it in a specific place in your drive, you click here, but for now we're just going to click Make a Copy. This is a copy of the checklist. Whoever makes this copy, this file will be saved to their Google Drive, and if they check off stuff or edit this checklist, it won't reflect in the original file because this belongs to them personally. On the mobile app though, this process looks a bit different, so let's bring in the mobile app to see how that works. This is how it looks like from the mobile app. It's more or less the same, just slightly different. So over here we need to go to the Instructions tab. Down at the bottom you see the different tabs. If you don't see the tabs at the bottom, this might be because you are, let's say for example, in a certain cell, to edit the cell, then you don't see the tabs at the bottom. So you need to go, you see the X and the check, press the X or the check to go out of the cell, depending if you want to save the edit or discard the edit. And then we tap Instructions, and over there we have the link to the original spreadsheet which is unused, and this one we make a copy of. So if you look carefully, in the top right corner there is the three-dotted icon, and here is make a copy. And over here, this is how we want it to be called. You can choose where you want it to be saved in the drive, and you press OK. It's copying. So now this is a copy, as we mentioned earlier. One more thing that we can do with this app is that when we go to the three-dotted menu, Share and Export, you can press Add to Home Screen. This will give you and then you press Add. This will give you a shortcut on your home screen, so you can have easy access to this checklist. So now let's see how to actually use this checklist and to update it as you learn the Sichos. You go to the Checklist tab, you click down here. So here you see we have a checkbox for every single Sicha in Likkutei Sichos. Scroll down a bit, divided by Chelek. So when you learn a Sicha, simple, you click the checkbox, and it gets checked off, etc. You can close the Sefer if you're done. Left click, you close the Sefer. You can close this one, you can open it again. Over here for Hisafis, you can also use the plus and minus button to close Hisafis and open them. If you learned part of the Sicha and you want to just remember that you did, you can always right click the cell and write Insert Note. And you can write, let's say Seifim Aleph through Gimel, that's what you learned. You press somewhere else on the screen. So now you see there's a black thing over there, means there's a note, it shows the note. In order to get rid of the note, you backspace, click on a random place on the screen, and the note is gone. If you go over here on the tab plus and in the first row, This one is frozen, so you always see it even if you scroll down. The first row is still there. So you press the plus, and here you have a drop down. So here you can select different styles how you want the text of the sichos that are checked off to display. Right now it's on strike through. You see every name is of the sichos strike through. You can choose default like this. There's no difference if it's checked off or not. It shows the same way. You can choose italics. It will be a bit on the slant. So as you see over here, it looks a bit different. Then you can do strike through as we had earlier, and you can have both. It could be strike through and italics at the same time. Another important detail: these areas at the end of every chelik, the empty areas, they should remain empty. The same one over here. These should remain empty because they can give false results in the progress, as we'll discuss later, and as well as on the overview page, as we'll see. Likewise, there are also areas which they look empty, but actually have a formula in them. Like this one over here, if you close the sefer, it will still tell you what in the Hisafis is left to be learned. Because you don't see that when the sefer is closed, you don't see the actual results of these results, so that's why when it's closed, it shows it over here. So just make sure you don't accidentally clear those cells from the formula. Also, sometimes you'll see, if you see something like this, press cancel, don't press OK. Also over here we have a link to Mafteach, in case you need, open to Mafteach. Using the mobile app for the checklist, from your phone or from your tablet. So a few things work slightly different. First of all, for checking off, instead of clicking, you tap the checkbox and then it checks it off. In order to open the side panel to close the chelek or to open the esophagus, etc. So you first need to open up the side panel. On top of the side panel, you'll see that icon pointing to the left. You tap the icon, and now it opens up. It's closed, and now it's open. Then you can close and open by tapping on those areas, on those plus and minus buttons. To add a note, as we mentioned earlier, like when you're halfway done a sicha, you double tap the cell. Then you can press note, and you can type up the note. Aleph. Then you OK, and do it again. Delete note, like that. Also, to select style for the sichos that I already learned, you go here. So now it's going to be slightly different. This whole area is selected, and even if you try to select that cell with the options with the drop-down list, you'll get this instead of the drop-down list. So what you need to do is first go in a random area in the page outside of the top few rows. Now you select that cell, and at the bottom you have the 4 options right over there. You can choose between them. And you go to the bottom. Like that. Another very important point for the ones that are using an Apple device, like an iPhone or an iPad. The app on the Apple devices does not support columns showing from right to left as in this spreadsheet over here. So it will show them left to right. We'll show you how that looks like. It will look like this. It's more or less the same, just that the layout is a bit messed up because of it. It's not so neat. Also, the arrows where it says pointing towards where to open up the sichos at the side are pointing the wrong direction because they're pointing to the right, and the open and closing the parts of the sheet of the list are on the left side as opposed to on the right side. So that's the main difference. Also on the other sheets, but the other sheets it doesn't make a big difference. It's mainly for this sheet and the instruction sheet, which you don't really need once you saw this video. So in the meantime, I checked off a whole bunch of checkboxes. So now we're going to see how to view results, view your progress. So every chelik has an individual progress bar over here. As you go, this moves up. Let's see, check, it moves up a drop. Check this one, it moves up a drop to see how far you are in the sefer. Right next to it, you have percentage. This percentage is not according to the amount of pages, but rather according to the amount of sichos. So in this case, we have 64.28% of the sefer of the sichos learned. Right over here, we have 27 sichos that are learned out of the 42 total, and 15 which are still left to be learned. Those are 15 that are not checked off yet. So same things for the sefer. And also, Hisafis has a separate count. They're not included in the total. So if you want to know, did I learn the whole Chelik Beis, and you don't want to include Hisafis, you can just look over here. Hisafis have a separate cheshbon over here. Down here, the same idea, a progress bar, percentage, what you already learned, total, how many are left to learn. And as we mentioned earlier, when you close the sefer, it will say a total of all the Hisafis together that is left. To see how far you are in the entire Likkutei Sichos, you can go to the front page over here. Down here, you have the same idea. You have the progress bar. As you check off, it goes more and more. And here again, the percentage, total, how much are left, how much you did, etc. Chelik Mem is not included in this total, and so are not any of the Hisafis of any of the Chalakim not included in this total. We do have over here Chelik Mem at the end of the checklist. Let's go down there. But it's not included in the total of Likkutei Sichos, so it's similar to Hisafis in a certain extent. Then finally we have the overview. Here we find an overview of the entire Likkutei Sichos, the Lamed Tes Chalakim, not including Chelik Mem, divided by which sichos you already learned, which ones you did not learn yet. So the ones in the lighter color in the top are the sichos that you did not learn yet. Once you check off a sicha on the checklist, it turns a darker color and goes back down. Let's try it out. We have in Chelik Beis 4 sichos that we didn't learn yet. Eikev, Shevtim, Chagasuk, and Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah. Let's go to the checklist and see. So now here, let's see. We have Eikev, Shevtim, Chagasuk, and Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah. So now we're going to check off Eikev. We're going to go back to the overview. Eikev is not more over here, but it went down and it's over here. If you do notice that certain sichos that are checked off, not checked off, and the results over here do not correspond to the other to the checklist, it's most likely, as we mentioned earlier, because these areas have text in them, and then that can give false results in the overview. Thank you so much for joining. Hatzlacha in your learning, and Mashiach now.